The Lord Jesus wants us to understand how important it is to listen to what he has to say to us in the Bible. He wants us to listen and to take on board the instructions and the words that he gives. And to help us to see how important this is for us to do, Jesus told us this story. There was once a builder, and this builder was a good builder. He understood his job, he took it seriously, and whenever he built, he tried to do the very best job he could. He decided that he wanted to build a house. But before he could start building, he knew that he had to find suitable ground to build on. He knew he had to find strong ground, rock, to build his house on top of, because he wanted his house to have a strong foundation. Now, he understood that building on rock wouldn't be easy. Building on rock would be difficult. This was before there were such things as power tools. This was in the past. It would take a lot of effort and a lot of hard work for him to chip into the rock to give his house strong foundations. But he knew that it would be a worthwhile thing to do so that his house could remain standing. Meanwhile, there was another builder, but this builder was the opposite of that first builder. Whereas the first builder took his job seriously and tried to build as well as he possibly could whenever he built something, this second builder wasn't interested in doing a particularly good job. He just wanted to take shortcuts. He just wanted things to be easy. He just wanted things to be done as quickly as they could. He wanted to build a house just like the first builder. But whereas the first builder knew he had to find strong ground, rock, to build his house on so that his house would have good foundations, this second builder wasn't interested in that. This second builder just wanted to get his house built as quickly as he possibly could. And he didn't want to have to work hard doing it. He knew that chipping into rock would take hours and hours of hard work in the beating sun. He didn't want that. He knew it would be easier to build his house on sand. He was in a hurry to get finished. And that's what the two men did. The first builder began building his house on rock, and the second builder began building his house on sand. And of course, the man who built his house on the sand finished first, had it easier. He was able to sit back in his house and enjoy his house because it was finished, whilst the first builder was still working away day after day after day, building his house on the rock. But that wasn't the end of the story. You see, one day a big storm came, and this storm hit the area where these two houses had been built. The first builder's house was finished on the rock, on the hard ground that he had chosen. The second builder's house had been built quickly, had been built taking shortcuts, and had been built on sand. As the rain continued to fall and fall and fall, water started to build up in the area. The water got deeper and deeper and crashed against the two houses. As the water hit the second builder's house, the house that had been built on the sand underneath the house began to shift and began to move and began to turn into sludge and began to turn runny. And eventually, the whole house began to wobble and shift until it fell down altogether. The water completely washed away the sand that it was built on, and that caused all of the bricks to fall. And the second builder was left with no house at all. The water completely knocked it away. Meanwhile, the first builder sat in his house that had been built on the rock. The heavy rain and the rushing water did not move the house on the rock. The first builder knew that his house was safe. No amount of rain and no amount of water was going to knock his house down. Jesus told this story to teach us an important lesson. Following Jesus is like having a safe rock, just like the man who built his house on the safe rock, on the good foundations. Jesus said that we are all either like the first builder or the second builder. Jesus said, if we hear the words that he has to say, read what he has to say in the Bible, and we listen, and we take those words on board, and we obey what he has asked us to do, we are like the builder who built his house on the rock. Jesus says that if we listen to what he has to say, then we will be like that house on the rock. We will be safe. We will be strong when rain comes, when trouble comes, just like the first builder. But if we hear Jesus' words and choose to ignore them, choose not to listen, allow Jesus' words to go into our head and then straight back out again, or read them and then don't take on board what they have to say to us, we are like that second builder. We are like the builder who built his house on the sand. And what that means is that when the rain comes, when the difficult times come, instead of being strong, like the house on the rock, we will be weak and we will be swept away. One of those builders was wise, and one of them was foolish. The first builder was wise. Even though he knew at times it would be difficult building his house on the rock, he knew that it would be the better decision long run. He knew that when difficult times came, he needed his house to be able to stand in the storm. He needed his house to be able to stand in the rain and the wind and the flood. The second builder was a foolish builder, wasn't he? He took shortcuts. He wanted it to be easy. He wanted it to be quick. And for a while, that might have been okay for him until the storm arrived. When the storm arrived, his house wouldn't stand. Which of those two builders are we going to be like? Are we going to be like the wise builder who built his house on the rock? Are we going to listen to Jesus' words after we hear them or after we read them? Are we going to remember them, take them on board, and obey what he has to say? Or are we going to be like the foolish builder? Are we going to hear what Jesus has to say, or perhaps read it in the Bible, but not listen, ignore? Hopefully, we will all be like the wise builder.